Hello, this is Ebony Grayback. Yes, Ebony Elise of Ebony Elise Fashion, because it should fit you. So now, this is part 2 of a video that I did about alterations on a macaw pattern. This pattern is from Walmart, and it's knit. In the last video, I talked about how I did alterations to the bodice, but this is covering the sleeve and the skirt. Now, before I jump to the bottom half, I do want to go back a little bit on the front part. Last time I showed you the alterations and things that I made on paper after tracing the commercial pattern. But there's one more thing. Anytime you make changes to the armhole neckline, you have to also make adjustments to the facing. So this is my facing piece. Okay, that's where the shoulder goes, and this is where is the center back on the fold. So this is going to go here. But notice that since I did my alteration, I'm short this amount. So what I'll have to do is tape some paper to the back side of this and continue this on to meet that following the shape. Okay, enough with the front side. So that has to be done. Now, I want to talk about the sleeve. Now, because these sleeves, are a little bit longer, it's really at an awkward point, because if you notice, it's not full length at the wrist bone, and it's not exactly 3/4 length either. It's kind of weird. And then my arm length is its own thing. So, and I actually want my sleeve to stop just a few inches below my elbow, so that even when I bend my arm, my elbow is still not exposed. So what I did was, of course, I had my measurement of my arm from the hollow in my shoulder, where my arm meets my body. When I raise my arm up, there's like a natural hollow there. That's where I measured from there all the way down. I measured a little bit past my elbow with my elbow slightly bent. I also took, the measurement with my arm straight and bent, so I can kind of get a feel for how the fabric's going to move when I bend my arm, to know for sure how long I want it. So this total measurement from here all the way here, measured 20 1/8 inches. Now I know that this part here connects to the bodice, and so I'm going to have to subtract 5/8 inch seam allowance. So I can't count that for my finished measurement. And also here at the very end of the sleeve is it's going to be a 3/4 inch hem according to the pattern. I'm just going to keep that the same. So because this is a little bit longer than what I wanted, because I want mine, I'm going to have to cut mine at 18 3/4 inches. So I'm going to have to subtract 1 3/8 inch. I'm going to have to shorten it by that much to get it to fall where I want it to when it's all sewn up. Okay, so what I did was, these lines here on the pattern say lengthen or shorten here. Okay, you have a top and a bottom line. So I went by the top line and I measured up 1 3/8 inch, and I made a dashed line with my ruler, because I'm going to fold here at this line that says shorten and lengthen here, and I'm going to fold it up and put it in place and tape it down. Notice that my grain line still lines up. The line that I added to the pattern to separate it vertically is still lined up. Everything's lined up, but I have a little jog here. Notice how the pattern that was like this, when it's folded, you end up with like a little jog there. So what I did was, I went to the point here where it dips in, and I lined this point up with my straight ruler to here, and I drew a new line so that I still get that smooth line here for when I sew my sleeve down lengthwise on the seam allowance. So I just continued that line, and I put some little dashes here too to help you see. And I did that on both sides. So that's my new line, okay, when I shorten it. And I didn't take it from the bottom. I did it at the suggested spot on the pattern. And even if that line wasn't there, you have to consider the fact that at the end of the sleeve, there's an angle here, okay? And that's there because when you do the hem, you're going to end up taking this part up, and it's going to end up being a line here that's going to be straight. So even though this is angled, it's going to go away. It's going to kind of compensate for the fold. the hem, okay, so it's not too tight at the end. And I didn't want to mess with that design, with that angle, so I took it up here, okay. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side, and now let's talk about the front and back skirt, okay. So I have my front and back skirt. This here is center fold. This is the center front on the fold. Center front, okay? This is my back skirt, and this is the center back. I'm going to course cut 2 back pieces, okay? And the front and back are going to be joined by a side seam. And then the reason why, this is going to be a center fold. So this is not cut in 2. This is actually a center back fold. And then I have a center front fold. And the only seams are going to be the side seams because this is knit. If it was woven, then I would have a center back seam to put a zipper in. But that's not the case here. Okay, so for people who are curvy and have a little bit of a bottom, you know what I mean? Us curvy girls, we got to have a little adjustment here, because when you put on something and your hem is level, when you put it on, it raises up in the back and it makes it look like your clothes are just not on right. They're not fitting right. They're not looking right. So it looks like your skirt or your dress is longer in the front than the back. So to compensate for that, what I did was I added 2.5 inches to the center back fold. So I just took this part here and I continued the line down 2.5 inches. And what you do is you blend that curve. You want it a little straight here, just a little bit straight here, and then you curve. You continue that curve and let it fall where it naturally blends into the rest of the center back skirt. And you don't want your blending to come too far here, because you have to consider the side seam, okay? The seam allowance is a standard, industry standard 5/8 inch seam allowance. And if you blend that in too close, when you sew it up, you're going to have a peak here. It's going to go inward. It's going to be like this, and you don't want that. So you want to leave it a little bit flat for about 5/8 inch, and then do your curve if you need to take it that close. But mine ended here. I backed off of it a little bit. So I have this extension here that's been added to the back part, so that when this is sewn up and I put it on, it looks even. But of course we know the back is longer than the front. Okay, so and you'll notice that this still lines up. See that point there? That meets, the front and back meet right there, even. Okay, same thing with down here. It lines up, and that's what you want. Okay, all right, so that is all the alterations that I have for this pattern. This It's So Simple McCall's pattern, style L9577. I didn't change anything with the actual design. I just made it to fit me. You know, I just made sure that my length was good for the skirt, that my sleeves were not too long, that the armhole fit, that the bodice was shortened according to, you know, my torso. And I really do look forward to sewing this. The first thing I would do is sew up some polyester interlock to test the fit of these altered patterns. And then if everything is good, I will sew it in the fabric that I intend to wear it in. If there are any changes that I notice need to be done when I do my first mock-up, then I'll do my marking and pinning, and then I'll take those changes and I'll bring it back to paper and make those adjustments. And then when I cut out the main fabric, I'll have the new alterations. I hope this video was helpful. It went fast because it's really not supposed to be a tutorial. It's really just supposed to be an update to let friends and family know what I'm doing and where I am in the process of pattern alterations, sewing and design and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I'm Ebony. I am Ebony Elise of Ebony Elise Fashion, because it should fit you. Take care. God bless.